Hey friends, welcome back to College Sports Corner. I'm Barry. Hey, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Hope you had a great few days off there. If you got the Friday off, also, man, we had a great day yesterday in football. We had some upsets. We had some great games. Coaching carousel started. It started a few weeks ago, but today got some really big news on all that. Anyway, this is our Week 13 review, our last full Saturday of college football until next year. So we're gonna get to some news and headlines, but first, hey, if you like the show, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, tell your family, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything. Here we go right now. Washington State, they have named Jake Dickert as their new head coach. Don't really know much about him. I don't know if he's from inside the program or outside, but anyway, they got a new football coach. Indiana head coach Tom Allen has fired his offensive coordinator, and he's also taking a $200,000 a year cut in his pay. I really thought Indiana would do a lot better this year than they have. I don't know what else was going on there, but they just weren't very good this year. I really expected them to be better. Colorado offensive coordinator and wide receiver Darren Shiverney, he's been fired by Colorado. They weren't really too productive this year. I don't even think they're going to a bowl game. So hopefully they can get things turned around there. Florida, they got a new head football coach. In case you didn't hear, they hired Billy Napier from Louisiana Lafayette. He's done a pretty good job there. I don't know how he's going to fit in the SEC and all the big time football like that, but it remains to be seen. This is one kind of shocked me. USC hired Lincoln Riley, got him away from Oklahoma. It was announced today. He's going to go out west to California. Don't know if it had anything to do with going to the SEC. Don't know if it had his final decision happened after what happened last night. I don't know. But here's something interesting, too. Bob Stoops is going to come back as intern coach, I guess, to coach them in the bowl game. Who knows? He may stay. I mean, I don't know if he's itching to coach again, but if he is, Big Game Bob could be back. Who knows? Duke and David Cutcliffe have agreed to part ways. Cutcliffe has been there for 14 years, had a little success, not too much. I figure it's Duke. They're all about basketball, and football's a second thought, so who knows if he wasn't getting things he needed for the program. I don't know. It's weird. Alabama running back Brian Robinson Jr. is reported today he's got a lower body injury. It's going to be touch and go to see if he's going to play this Saturday in the SEC championship game. Hopefully he gets well and he can play so we can have a really good game. All right, let's start. We got a lot of games to go over. Starting last Tuesday, Western Michigan 42, Northern Illinois 21. Caleb Elby for Western Michigan was 21 for 26, 338 yards, 5 touchdowns. Not too bad for him. Sean Taylor, 17 carries, 115 yards, 1 touchdown. Sky Moore had 12 catches, 206 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So pretty good passing game there for the Broncos. Northern Illinois' Ethan Hampton. He was 4 for 10, 23 yards, 0 touchdowns. Ontario Brown had 5 rushes, 77 yards, 2 touchdowns. Western Michigan ended up with 636 total yards. Northern Illinois 291. And Western Michigan ends their season at 7-5. Northern Illinois 8-4. Another one that night, Ball State 20, Buffalo 3. Drew Pitt for Ball State was 19 for 31, 176 yards, 1 touchdown. He also rushed for a touchdown. Ja'Shawn Jackson had 9 catches, 103 yards, and a touchdown. And Jacob Lewis had a 48-yard field goal. Buffalo's Matt Myers was 18 for 39, 188 yards, 0 touchdowns, had 4 interceptions, and was sacked 3 times by Ball State. Alex McNutty had a 38-yard field goal in the second quarter. Ball State ended up with 230 total yards, Buffalo 336. Ball State ends their season 6-6, Buffalo 4-8. All right, on Thanksgiving, Fresno State 40, San Jose State 9. Jake Hayner for Fresno State, 27 for 36, 343 yards, 4 touchdowns. Jalen Cooper had 24 rushing yards and a touchdown. And Ronnie Rivers had 5 catches for 91 yards and a touchdown. San Jose State, Nick Starkel, 19 of 42, 260 yards, no touchdowns, sacked 3 times. Kicker Matt McCurrow, 3 field goals for the Spartans. Fresno State, 486 total yards. San Jose State, 324 yards. Bulldogs ended up 9-3 on the year. And the Spartans, 5-7, which kind of surprised me. I thought San Jose State was going to do a lot better than they did, but it is what it is. That night, the Egg Bowl, Ole Miss, 31. Mississippi State, 21. Matt Corral for Ole Miss, 25 for 33, 229 yards, touchdown. Rushed for 45 yards in the touchdown. Snoop Conner, 54 rushes and 2 touchdowns. And Jaron Early, 43 receiving yards in the touchdown. Will Rogers from Mississippi State, 38 for 58, 336 yards, touchdown, sacked 3 times by the Rebel defense. Jaquavius Marks, 45 rushing yards and a touchdown. Jaden Wiley, 5 catches, 41 yards and a touchdown. And kicker Nolan McCord had 7 points. Rebels ended up with 388 total yards. Bulldogs 420. Ole Miss ends the season at 10-2. Mississippi State 7-5. So Mississippi State having more success than they did last year. So maybe Mike Leach is slowly getting that program built up to where he wants it to be. Friday, Bowling Green 21, Ohio 10. Matt McDonald for Bowling Green was 24 for 37, 255 yards and a touchdown. Austin Osborne, 8 catches, 79 yards and a touchdown. And kicker Nate Needham had 13 points for Bowling Green. Ohio's Curtis Rourke, 12 for 24, 103 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Armani Rogers had a rushing touchdown, and kicker Steven Johnson had the field goal for Ohio. Bowling Green, 349 total yards, Ohio 223. Bowling Green ends the season at 4-8, Ohio 3-9. Central Michigan 31, Eastern Michigan 10. Daniel Richardson for Central Michigan, 12 of 24, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Lou Nichols III, 44 rushes for 192 yards and a touchdown. Ja'Cory Sullivan, 4 catches, 46 yards and 2 touchdowns. For Eastern Michigan, Ben Bryant was 24 for 35, 221 yards, 0 touchdowns, sacked 7 times. Samson Evans rushed for a touchdown, and kicker Chad Ryland had a 50-yard field goal. Central Michigan, 366 total yards. Eastern Michigan, 226. Central Michigan ends up 8-4. Eastern Michigan, 7-5. Texas broke that losing streak. They beat Kansas State 22-17. Casey Thompson for Texas was 17 for 23, 170 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Rashawn Johnson, 31 rushes, 179 on rushing yards and a touchdown. Cade Brewer had 4 catches for 32 yards and a touchdown. And kicker Cameron Dicker had 10 points. Wildcat quarterback Will Howard was 9 of 13, 65 yards, no touchdowns, but he did run for 82 yards and a touchdown. Deuce Vaughn, 24 rushes, 143 yards and a touchdown. Not too bad for him. Tyrone Howe was the top receiver. He had 1 catch for 14 yards. So Kansas State was trying to do it all on the ground, I guess. Longhorns, 381 total yards. Wildcats, 293. Longhorns end up 5-7. Kansas State ends up 7-5. San Diego State, 27. Boise State, 16. Jordan Brookshire for San Diego State was 11 of 15, 192 yards, a touchdown. He also rushed for 46 yards and a touchdown. Greg Bell had 15 carries for 42 yards and a touchdown. Jesse Matthews, 9 catches, 133 yards and a touchdown. And kicker Matt Azia, 9 points for San Diego State. Boise State's Hank Bachmeier, 21 for 40, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, sacked 3 times. George Holani was the top rusher for 20 carries and 70 yards. Khalil Shakur, 6 catches, 74 yards and a touchdown. And Kurt Rothdahl also had a touchdown catch. Aztecs end up with 408 total yards. Broncos 319. San Diego State had a really good season. They ended 11-1. Boise State 7-5. Utah State beat New Mexico 35-10. New Mexico really didn't have a chance. It seemed like Utah State was up 28-0 at the half. Logan Bonner for Utah State, 16 for 23, 306 yards, 5 touchdowns, and he was sacked twice. Derek Wright had 4 catches for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, pretty good. And Brandon Bowling had 3 catches for 75 yards and a touchdown. Brayson Carroll for New Mexico, 8 for 10, 57 yards and a touchdown. And Kylie Jarvis caught the touchdown pass for New Mexico. Utah State ended up with 440 total yards. New Mexico, 186. So they got some work to do in the offseason on that offense. Utah State ends the season 9-3. New Mexico 3-9. Iowa 28, Nebraska 21. Nebraska in another close one. They just can't seem to win these games. Something Scott Frost is going to have to do here, probably in his last year if he doesn't get it turned around. But they got spring football coming up to fix all these mistakes, and who knows. Spencer Petras for Iowa, 7 of 13, 102 yards, no touchdowns. He did rush for a touchdown, though. Iowa blocked a punt for a touchdown, and kicker Caleb Shutter, 14 points. Logan Smothers played for Nebraska. I think Adrian Martinez had an injury. He was 16 for 22, 198 yards, 0 touchdowns, but he ran for 64 yards and 2 touchdowns. So it looks like Nebraska might have another option at quarterback here. Jacques Yamp, 44 rushing yards and a touchdown. Hawkeyes end up at 364 total yards. Nebraska, 227. Iowa ends the season at 10-2. Nebraska 3-9. Iowa's going to be playing Michigan in the Big Ten championship game, and they really need to get that offense going if they expect to win. Their offense has kind of been sluggish the last several weeks. UAB 42, UTEP 25. Dylan Hopkins for UAB, 15 for 20, 108 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked 3 times. Jermaine Brown Jr., 16 carries for 88 yards and 3 touchdowns. Not too bad. Garrett Prince and Hayden Pittman also had touchdown catches for UAB. UTEP Gavin Hardison was 21 for 34, 204 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Deion Hackins, 16 rushes, 68 yards and a touchdown. And Jake McCowing, 5 catches, 63 yards and a touchdown. UAB ends up with 328 total yards. UTEP, 303 total yards. UAB 8-4 on the season, and UTEP 7-5. And UTEP has started off the season undefeated. God, they went 6-0, maybe even 7-0, and dropped their last 5. But they started off pretty good, and they kind of slacked off. Arkansas 34, Missouri 17. KJ Jefferson for the Razorbacks, 15 of 19, 262 yards, touchdown, sacked 3 times. Traylon Smith had 7 carries, 77 yards and a touchdown. Traylon Burks, 7 catches, 129 yards and a touchdown. And kicker Cam Little had 10 points for the Razorbacks. For Missouri, Connor Bazelak, 10 for 26, 65 yards, 0 touchdowns. Not too good there. Tyler Batty had 41 carries, 219 yards and a touchdown. I guess he was the workhorse. And kicker Harrison Mavis had 9 points for Tigers. Arkansas 425 total yards, Missouri 316. Arkansas ends the season 8-4. Missouri 6-6. Arkansas, pretty proud of what they did. I'm not really a Razorback fan, but good for Sam Pittman and good for that team. They keep making steps up, so we'll see what happens next year. Air Force 48, UNLV 14. Air Force didn't throw 1 pass in this game. Not 1 pass. It was all on the ground. Manuel Mitchell, 12 carries, 123 yards and a touchdown. Brad Roberts, 16 carries, 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. For UNLV, Austin Rogers, 8 for 18, 127 yards, 0 touchdowns. Air Force stacked him 5 times. Charles Williams had 16 rushes, 137 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not too bad. Air Force 511 total yards, UNLV 214. Air Force ends the season 9-3, and UNLV 2-10. They got a lot of work to do over there. Cincinnati 35, East Carolina 13. Desmond Ridder 17 for 28, 301 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Jerome Ford had 20 carries, 85 yards, and a touchdown. Alex Pierce, 8 catches, 136 yards, and a touchdown. East Carolina's quarterback Holton Allhurst, 10 for 38, 228 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, sacked 3 times. And J.S. Hatfield had 3 catches, 48 yards, and a touchdown. Cincy ended up at 444 total yards, and East Carolina 282. Cincy 12-0, still undefeated. Nobody could get them. Although a couple teams came close. East Carolina 7-5. UCF 17, South Florida 13. Mikey Keene for Central Florida, 14 for 26, 115 yards and a touchdown. Parker Navarro had a rushing touchdown. Brandon Johnson had a touchdown catch for the Knights. Timmy McClain for South Florida, 18 for 29, 222 yards, 0 touchdowns, sacked 6 times by Central Florida. But he ran for a TD, so I don't know if that makes up for the 6. But Spencer Schroeder, he kicked 7 points for South Florida. UCF 285 total yards, South Florida 312, a little more, but they still lost. Central Florida ends 8-4, South Florida 2-10. Coastal Carolina 27, South Alabama 21. South Alabama was actually winning this game at halftime, 10-0, but then Coastal Carolina, I guess they just poured it on. Grayson McCall for Coastal Carolina, 16 for 25, 176 yards, touchdown, sacked 5 times, but he also ran for a touchdown. Shamari Jones, 23 carries, 211 yards and a touchdown. Javion Hiley, 6 catches, 87 yards for a touchdown. South Alabama's Jake Bentley was 28 for 41, 354 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, sacked 4 times. Jalen Tolbert, 10 catches, 191 yards and a touchdown. And Lincoln Siffick caught a touchdown pass for South Alabama. Coastal Carolina, 491 total yards. South Alabama, 349. Coastal Carolina, 10-2 for the year. South Alabama, 5-7. Utah, 28. Colorado, 13. Cameron Rising for Utah was 14 of 23, 179 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Tavion Thomas had 25 carries for 142 yards and a touchdown. And Dalton Kincaid and Brant Kuthi each had touchdown catches for Utah. Colorado, their points came from a 100-yard kickoff return by Nico Reed, and kicker Cole Becker ended up kicking 7 points in this game. So we can see why the offensive coordinator was fired today for Colorado. Utah, 444 total yards. Colorado, again, 148 total yards. Utah, not a bad season, 9-3. And Colorado, 4-8. Got some work to do, but get your good OC in there, and you never know what could happen. Iowa State, 48. TCU, 14. Brock Purdy, 21 for 30. 262 yards, 2 touchdowns, not too bad. Breece Hall, 18 carries, 242 yards, 3 touchdowns, and had a touchdown catch, too. So that guy had a pretty damn good day. Chase Allen also had a TD catch. TCU's Max Dugan, 15 for 26, 216 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked 5 times. Would have been a decent day if it weren't for the interception and the 5 sacks. Blair Conwright, 47 receiving yards and a touchdown, and Tyler Guyton had a touchdown catch for TCU. Cyclones, 541 total yards, Horned Frogs, 348. Iowa State, 7-5 on the year, TCU, 5-7. And evidently, the coach from TCU's crosstown rival, SMU, Holtz, is going to TCU. There's going to be some bad blood that game next year, isn't it? Heck, maybe even the city. People might see him driving around, flipping the finger and shit. NC State, 34. North Carolina, 30. Quarterback Devin Leary was 19 of 30, 247 yards, 4 touchdowns. Sounds good, doesn't it? No, he was sacked 6 times. Still, that's some good numbers. If my quarterback did that, I'd be damn happy with that. Mika Mizi, 5 catches, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns. Thayer Thomas and Trent Remix each had touchdown catches for State. Sam Howell for Tar Heels, 14 for 26, 147 yards, touchdown, interception, sacked 5 times. But he did rush for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wouldn't mind my quarterback did that too. Justin Olsen, 2 catches, 28 yards and a touchdown. Grayson Atkins, the kicker, was responsible for 12 points. Wolfpack, 360 total yards. Tar Heels, 444. NC State, 9-3 on the year. North Carolina, 6-6. North Carolina was another team I thought was going to do really good this year, but they just kind of fell apart. I don't know what happened over there. Apple Cup, Washington State, 40. Washington, 13. Jaden Delora for Washington State, 27 for 32, 245 yards, 0 touchdowns. Max Borghi, 22 carries, 129 yards, 2 touchdowns, not too bad. Dion McIntosh had a rushing touchdown. Kicker Dean Jankowski, responsible for 16 points for the Cougars. Huskies, Sam Heward, 17 for 31, 190 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions. That ain't going to win you the game. Kamon Pleasant, 8 carries, 34 yards and a touchdown. Rome Odunze, 3 catches, 69 yards and a touchdown. Cougars ended up with 454 total yards. Huskies, 200 total yards. Washington State, 7-5 on the year. Huskies, 4-8. They got a lot of problems up there in Washington. They need to get worked out. All right, Saturday. Georgia, 45. Georgia Tech, 0. Georgia Tech gave some good teams some fits this year. I figured they would at least, I didn't think they'd give Georgia fits, but I thought they'd at least score some points and wouldn't get shut out. But Georgia, Stetson Bennett, 14 for 20, 255 yards, 4 touchdowns. Kenny McIntosh, 2 carries, 66 yards and a touchdown. Brock Bowers, 3 catches, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, not too bad. Jermaine Burton and Lad McConkey had touchdown catches for the Bulldogs. Georgia Tech, Jordan Yates was 8 for 16, 73 yards, 0 touchdowns, sacked 3 times. Dante Smith and Jordan Mason each had 59 yards rushing. Offense there was not productive. Georgia, 463 total yards. Georgia Tech, 171 total yards. Georgia, 12-0, playing the SEC championship game against Alabama Saturday. And Georgia Tech, 3-9. That is it until next year. Wake Forest, 41. Boston College, 10. Sam Hartman was 20 for 32, 236 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He also rushed for a touchdown. Christian Turner, 18 carries, 51 yards and a touchdown. A.T. Perry had 4 catches, 81 yards, 2 touchdowns, not too bad. Kicker Nick Skyba had 11 points for Wake Forest. And for Boston College, Phil Jurkovic, 3 for 11, 273 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also led the team in rushing with 66 yards. Trey Berry had a 15-yard touchdown catch for Boston College, but it wasn't enough. Wake Forest, 413 total yards. Boston College, 182. Wake Forest, great year, 10-2. Boston College, 6-6. Maryland, 40. Rutgers, 16. For Maryland, Talua, 21 for 30, 312 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also rushed for a touchdown. He had a pretty good day. Tayon Fleet Davis had 18 carries, 152 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Pretty good day. Corey Dites had 2 catches for 36 yards and 2 touchdowns. So they had a pretty good offensive day at Maryland. Rutgers, Evan Simon, 7 for 14, 86 yards, no touchdowns. Aaron Young, 6 rushes for 19 yards and a touchdown. And Johnny Langan had a rushing touchdown. Maryland, 575 total yards. Rutgers, 337. Maryland still, though, they ended up 6-6. And Rutgers, 5-7. Navy, 38. Temple, 14. Navy's Ty Lavate and Xavier Arline each threw TD passes. Isaac Russo, 18 carries, 65 yards, 2 touchdowns. Chase Warren, 3 catches, 43 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Quarterback Marion Valente for Temple, 10 for 14, 73 yards, 0 touchdowns, sacked 3 times. Tavon Ruley, 9 rushes, 68 yards, and a touchdown. And Ravon Bonner, 4 rushes, 8 yards, and a touchdown. Navy, 291 total yards. Temple, 181. Navy, 3-8 on the year. Temple, 3-9 on the year. And I still can't believe Navy is 3-8. They usually have about 8, sometimes even 9 wins. And seeing them at 3-8 this year, it's just like, what the hell? It's one of those crazy years. Great game here. Michigan 42, Ohio State 27. I'll admit it, I was one of the ones that figured the Buckeyes would smoke Michigan. And halfway into that game, I was like, what the hell's going on here? Michigan's K. McNamara, 13 for 19, 159 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Hussein Haskins, monster day, 28 carries, 169 yards, 5 touchdowns. And A.J. Henning had a rushing touchdown for Michigan. Quarterback C.J. Stroud for Ohio State, 34 for 49, 394 yards, 2 touchdowns, sacked 4 times by the Michigan defense. Trayvon Henderson, 17 carries, 74 yards, touchdown. He also had a touchdown catch. Garrett Wilson, 10 catches, 119 yards, and a touchdown. Jackson Smith Najma, I think that's how you say it, 11 catches, 127 receiving yards, no touchdowns. Michigan ended up with 487 total yards. Ohio State, 458 total yards. And this game reminded me, some of you old school guys will appreciate this. Remember in 2001, number 2 Nebraska goes to the number 14 Colorado. Everybody thought Nebraska was going to smoke Colorado, and Colorado just ran at them and kept running at them. Finally wore them down and ended up winning that game. If I remember right, they went on to the Big 12 championship game after beating Nebraska that last game. But that's what this game reminded me of. Michigan just kept running at Ohio State. I mean, running through holes, running around all over the place. And it's like Ohio State just couldn't stop the run defense. And that's I was thinking back to. I was like, man, that reminds me of that Nebraska-Oklahoma game 20 years ago. Michigan 11-1. They will play I won the Big Ten championship game. Ohio State 10-2 remains to see where they're going to go. You would think they would drop out of the top 4 in the playoff, but CFP. I think they go out the night before and party and do all kinds of crazy shit the night before, and then come in hungover the next day. Oh yeah, it looks good. So we'll see what happens. Kent State 48, Miami of Ohio 47. Had a barn burner there. Dustin Crum for Kent State, 24 for 33, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, sacked 3 times. Xavier Williams, 13 carries, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns. Keyshawn Abrams, 7 catches, 138 yards and a touchdown. Kicker Andrew Glass, 12 points for Kent State. Miami of Ohio's Brett Gabbert, 26 for 51, 405 yards, 4 touchdowns, not too bad. 2 interceptions. He also had a rushing touchdown, so he had a pretty good game. Kenny Tracy, 5 catches, 104 yards and a touchdown. Jack Coldren, 5 catches, 83 yards and a touchdown. And kicker Graham Nicholson, 15 points for Miami of Ohio. Kent State, 642 total yards. Miami of Ohio, 549. Kent State ends up 7-5. Miami of Ohio, 6-6. Toledo, 49. Akron, 14. Daquan Finn for Toledo, 16 for 26. 257 yards, 4 touchdowns. Not too bad. Brian Koback had 15 carries, 135 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Listen to this. Brian Koback, Isaiah Winstead, Devin Maddox, Drew Rossi all had touchdown catches for Toledo. They were spreading that ball around all over the field. Cato Nelson for Akron was 10 for 25, 164 yards, 2 touchdowns, sacked 5 times. John Zell Norris, 90 rushing yards, 80 receiving yards, and 2 touchdown catches. He did it all. Toledo, 582 total yards. Akron, 365 total yards. Toledo, 7-5. Akron, 2-10 on the year. This game here is crazy. Florida 24, Florida State 21. I've said it before. Remember the good old days when these two were ranked in the top 5 and were battling for good bowl game or national championship game. Emory Jones for Florida, 16 for 24, 163 yards, touchdown, 3 interceptions. Damian Pierce, 12 carries, 62 yards and a touchdown. Kenmore Gamble, 3 catches, 80 yards and a touchdown for the Gators. Jordan Travis for the Noles, 18 for 29, 202 yards, touchdown, interception, sacked 4 times. But he did run for 102 yards and a touchdown, so he didn't have too bad of a day. Ontario Wilson, 3 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown for Florida State. Florida, 357 total yards. Florida State, 348. Florida wins, gets to 6-6, and gets to go to the bowl game. Florida State, 5-7, and probably thinking back to those first few games, they didn't lose by much too. They'll get a turnaround eventually. Good tight one here. Baylor 27, Texas Tech 24. Blake Sharpen, quarterback for Baylor, 20 for 34, 254 yards, 2 touchdowns. Abram Smith, 30 carries, 117 yards and a touchdown. Tristan Ebner, 4 catches, 118 yards and a touchdown. Kicker Isaiah Hankins had 9 points for the Bears. Donovan Smith for Texas Tech, 15 for 23, 262 yards, 2 touchdowns. Taja Brooks, 14 rushes, 40 yards and a touchdown. Travis Kuntz, 5 catches, 117 yards, and a touchdown for the Red Raiders. Baylor, 434 total yards. Texas Tech, 386. Baylor, 10-2 on the year. Texas Tech, 6-6. All right. Houston, 45. UConn, 17. Clayton Tune for Houston, 21 for 30, 301 yards, 4 touchdowns. Jake Herslow, 5 catches, 111 yards and a touchdown. Jeremy Singleton, 5 catches, 100 yards and a touchdown. Nathaniel Bell, 62 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns for Houston. They got it done through the air, evidently. Quarterback Steven Krajowski for UConn, 9 for 19, 79 yards, touchdown. Kevins Clearless, 2 catches, 64 yards, touchdown. Hey, Malik Dixon, though, he intercepted Clayton Tune and had a 33-yard pick 6 for the Huskies. So there's some good news there. Houston, 472 total yards. UConn, 238. Houston ends up 11-1 on the year. UConn, 1-11. Army, 31. Liberty, 16. Christian Anderson for Army, 3 for 4, 102 yards and a touchdown. Jacoby Buchanan, 27 rushes, 80 yards, 3 touchdowns. And Brahim Murphy, 34-yard TD catch for Army. Liberty, Malik Williams was 24 for 45, 305 yards, touchdown, interception, sacked 5 times. He did rush for a touchdown. Noah Frith, 3 catches, 31 yards and a touchdown. Army ends up with 322 total yards. Liberty, 384. Army 8-3 on the year. Liberty 7-5. Army still got Navy to play probably in, I don't think next weekend, probably in 2 weeks. Liberty's one of those teams that were undefeated for a while. It looked like they're going to be a pretty good team, and they just kind of wheels just kind of fell off. Miami, they kind of surprised me this year. They beat Duke 47-10. They looked like they were all over in September. That was it for them. Put them to bed, but they turned out a decent season. Tyler Van Dyke, 34 for 49, 381 yards, 3 touchdowns, also ran for a touchdown. Jalen Knighton, 13 rushes, 51 yards and a touchdown. Charleston Rambo had 8 catches, 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. For Duke, Jalen Stinson had a 94-yard TD off a kickoff return. And then they had a field goal, and that was it. Miami, 524 total yards. Duke, 219. Hurricanes end up 7-5 this year. Blue Devils, 3-9, and our happy basketball season has started. Rice Owls, 35. Louisiana Tech, 31. Rice was actually down in this game for a while, but they battled back. TJ McMahon for Rice, 12 for 20, 191 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. Cameron Montgomery, 10 carries, 95 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Cedric Patterson III, 5 catches, 93 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Quarterback J.D. Hibb, 19 for 35, 270 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, sacked 4 times, but he ran for a touchdown. Trey Harris, 5 catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown. Smoke Harris, 6 catches, 63 yards, and a touchdown. Rice ends up at 429 total yards. La Tech 427. Rice ends up 4-8 on the year. La Tech 3-9. Living outside of Houston, I was actually going to think about going to this game, but Have to drive a little bit of ways in Houston traffic. It's supposed to be raining all day, and you try to stay away from Houston when it's raining because those people can't drive in the first place. Throw a little rain into the mix, and you're really in trouble. But turns out, probably much like you guys where you live, your weathermen have their head up their ass and don't know what they're talking about half the time. Yeah, that's what happened here because it was just overcast and no rain. So actually, probably could have driven to that game, but like a dumbass, I listened to the weatherman again, and there you have it. Texas State 24, Arkansas State 22. Tyler Vitt for Texas State, 11 of 25, 121 yards, touchdown. Colvin Hill, 12 carries, 123 yards and a touchdown. Travis Graham, 4 catches, 67 yards and a touchdown. Arkansas State, Lane Hatcher, 25 for 37, 277 yards, 2 touchdowns, sacked 5 times. Corey Rucker had 8 catches for 85 yards and a touchdown. And Dahu Green, 5 catches, 81 yards and a touchdown. Texas State ends up with 333 total yards. Arkansas State 471. Texas State ends up 4-8 on the year. Arkansas State 2-10. North Texas, yeah, this is crazy. This is one of those things that shows you why college football is so great. North Texas 45, the undefeated UTSA Roadrunners 23. Austin on for North Texas, 10 for 17, 116 yards, 0 touchdowns. Ikaya Rogsdale, 20 carries, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns. DeAndre Torrey, 28 carries, 108 yards, 3 touchdowns. I didn't see this game, but everything North Texas just ran right at them, and UTSA had a crappy run defense. Eddie Lee Marburger for UTSA, 2 for 4, 74 yards and a touchdown. Frank Harris, their quarterback, threw for 59 yards, no touchdowns, but he rushed for 89 yards and a touchdown. Trayvon Bradley had a 67-yard touchdown catch for UTSA. North Texas, 456 total yards. UTSA, 366. North Texas, with that win, gets to go bowl, 6-6. And UTSA ends up 11-1. Still a good season. I mean, it's the best in school history, so even though you lost that last one, you still got something to be proud of. Old Dominion, 56. Charlotte, 34. Hayden Wolf for Old Dominion, 17 for 26, 328 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Blake Watson, 18 rushes, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns. Al Jennings III, 9 catches, 252 yards, 3 touchdown catches. Charlotte's Chris Reynolds was 24 for 40, 231 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Calvin Comp, 16 carries, 90 yards and a touchdown. Grant DeBose, 9 catches, 94 yards and a touchdown. Kicker Jonathan Cruz added 10 points to Charlotte's score. Old Dominion, 441 total yards. Charlotte, 480. Old Dominion, 6-6 on the year. Charlotte, 5-7. Georgia State, 37. Troy, 10. Darren Granger for Georgia State, 11 for 22, 140 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jameis Williams, 15 carries, 108 yards and a touchdown. Jameel Muhammad had a 72-yard touchdown off a fumble recovery. Gunnar Watson for Troy, 21 for 38, 287 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, sacked 5 times. B.J. Smith, 2-yard TD run. And Brooks Bruce had a 48-yard field goal for Troy. Georgia State, 387 total yards. Troy, 344. Georgia State, 7-5 on the year. Troy, 5-7. Appalachian State, 27. Georgia Southern, 3. Chase Bryce for App State, 12 for 24, 235 yards, 2 touchdowns. Thomas Hennigan had 3 catches for 111 yards and a touchdown. Jalen Virgil had 97-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. And for Georgia Southern, the 3 points came from Alex Rayner's 38-yard field goal. App State, 329 total yards. Georgia Southern, 194. App State ends 10-2 on the year. Georgia Southern, 3-9. New Mexico State, 44. UMass, 27. Jonah Johnson for New Mexico State, 26 for 32, 420 yards, 2 touchdowns. Juwan Prince, 24 carries, 156 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Pretty good day for him. Jared Wyatt, 6 catches, 126 yards, and a touchdown. Garrett Drewsrow for UMass, 12 of 23, 124 yards, and a touchdown. Ellis Merriweather, 23 rushes, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns. Good game for him. And Rico Arnold had 2 catches for 77 yards and a touchdown. New Mexico State, 623 total yards. UMass, 405. New Mexico State, 2-10 on the year. And UMass, 1-11. Ugh, poor guys. Hawaii, 38. Wyoming, 14. Javon Cordorio for Hawaii, 19 for 31, 323 yards, 3 touchdowns. Ran for 86 yards and a touchdown. Jared Smart, 2 catches, 58 yards and a touchdown. Stephen Fiso, yeah, 2 catches, 51 yards, 2 touchdowns. Quarterback Levi Williams for Wyoming was 15 for 24, 161 yards and a touchdown. Titus Swan had a 4-yard touchdown run, and Isaiah Never had a 30-yard touchdown catch for the Cowboys. Hawaii, 490 total yards. Cowboys, 305 total yards. Hawaii 6-7 on the year, and Wyoming 6-6. And people say 6-7. Yeah, Hawaii always play an early game and gives them a 13th game. I don't think anybody else does it, just them. But Southern Miss 37, Florida International 17. Frank Gore Jr. for Southern Miss threw 2 touchdown passes, and he ran for 2 touchdowns. Dejon Richards, 16 carries, 107 yards and a touchdown. Jason Brownlee, 5 catches, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns for Southern Miss. FIU's Max Bortenschlager, 13 for 24, 231 yards, touchdown, 2 interceptions. He was sacked 4 times. Lexington Joseph, 16 rushes, 105 yards, touchdown. And Tyrese Chambers, 5 catches, 155 yards and a touchdown. Southern Miss, 444 total yards. Florida International, 391. Southern Miss, 3-9 on the year. And Florida International, 1-11. Illinois, 47. Northwestern, 14. Brandon Peters for Illinois, 14 for 24, 242 yards, touchdown, and threw an interception. Chase Brown, 14 carries, 112 yards and a touchdown. Isaiah Williams, 7 catches, 113 yards, touchdown. He also ran for a touchdown, too. Ryan Helinski for Northwestern, 12 of 23, 123 yards, 0 touchdowns, but he did run for a touchdown. Evan Hull, 32 carries, 101 yards and a touchdown. Malik Washington had 7 catches for 83 yards for Northwestern. Illinois, 459 total yards. Northwestern, 241. Illinois, 5-7 on the year. Northwestern, 3-9. There was a time, remember, we were talking about Illinois. When's Bielema going to win a game? When's he going to win a game? And almost got up to a bowl game. Almost there. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens next year there at Illinois. In Northwestern, they just kind of fell apart. Now, after winning the West, was it last year? They 3-9. This was a great game here, man. This is what college football is about in November. This and the Ohio State-Michigan game. I mean, snowing, it's freaking almost a blizzard. Field is white. You can't even see some of the players. I mean, this is just great football right here, and it tells a lot how far football has come. Michigan State 30, Penn State 27. You know, in the old days when some of the old guys might remember this, when it was snowing, you didn't see a single pass. It was all run. You have these scores like, I remember Michigan Purdue one year, about 20-some years ago in the snow, it was like 5-3, and you see stuff like that. But now they're throwing the ball around. I mean, football is just so much involved in bad weather. Rain's still a little bit of a problem, but snow's not any problem anymore. But it was a great game. Spartans, Peyton Thorne, 19 for 30, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also ran for a touchdown. Kenneth Walker III, 30 rushes, 138 yards and a touchdown. Jaden Reed, 6 catches, 89 yards and a touchdown. Penn State, Sean Clifford, 23 for 34, 313 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was sacked 4 times. Jahan Dotson, 8 catches, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Daquan Hardy had a 17-yard pick six for Penn State. Michigan State, 451 total yards. Penn State, 374. Michigan State ends up 10-2 on the year. Penn State 7-5 after that start at the beginning of the year. People were talking Penn State was the team to beat in the Big Ten, and it just kind of fell apart. I don't know what happened. Purdue 44, Indiana 7. I believe that's the old Oak and Bucket trophy game. Aidan O'Connell for Purdue, 26 for 31, 277 yards, 4 touchdowns. Pretty damn good day for him. Xander Horvath, 18 rushes, 49 yards and a touchdown. David Bell has 6 catches for 79 yards and a touchdown. Grant Greenmill for Indiana, 18 for 30, 147 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked 4 times. Donovan McCulley, he had the 2-yard TD run for Indiana, so they wouldn't be shut out. Purdue, 446 total yards. Indiana, 204. Purdue ended up 8-4. That's good for them. There's a time when people were saying they weren't going to have a very good year, but hell, I'd take 8-4. You know, Indiana would take 8-4 because they're 2-10. This one here, I was wrong about this game. Oregon 38, Oregon State 29. I thought Oregon State would win this game, but didn't happen. Anthony Brown for Oregon, 23 for 28, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ran for 83 yards and a touchdown also. Travis Dye, 20 carries, 99 yards, 2 touchdowns. Pretty good day for him. Devin Williams, 6 catches, 110 yards and a touchdown. Oregon State's Chance Nolan, 25 for 39, 308 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also ran for a touchdown. Both quarterbacks have pretty good days. B.J. Baylor, 59 rushes and a touchdown. Luke Musgrave, 7 catches, 85 yards and a touchdown. And Trevor Bradford, 6 catches, 79 yards and a touchdown. Oregon, 506 total yards. Oregon State, 398. Oregon ends up 10-2 on the year, and Oregon State 7-5. This freaking Iron Bowl here. Alabama 24, Auburn 22. Won the 4 overtimes. This overtime rule sucks. It's stupid. They've got to do something else. If you're not going to fix it, then just go back to the damn tie. And you know what? If you're a number 1 team in the land and you're playing number 12 and you tie, well, that's on you. You should have had more offense and beat them. And if you don't go to a playoff game or whatever because of it, hey, you should have been more prepared. Because this stupid-ass overtime rule is dumb. Bryce Young for Alabama, 25 for 51, 317 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Auburn sacked him 7 times. John Mechie III, 13 catches, 150 yards, no touchdowns. And Jacoy Brooks, 2 catches, 49 yards and a touchdown. Auburn's C.J. Finley, 17 for 26, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked 6 times. Tank Bigsby had 63 rushing yards. Kobe Hudson and Landon King had touchdown catches for Auburn. Alabama, 388 total yards. Auburn, 159. Alabama, 11-1 on the year. Auburn, 6-6. If you're thinking, I'm pissed at an Auburn fan. No, I'm not an Auburn fan. I just think this overtime. Remember Penn State and Illinois? How freaking boring did that get after the first minute or so? I mean, there's got to be a better way to do this. NCAA reminds me of NASCAR. I'm a NASCAR fan, and every year they tweak something and just screw shit up. And that's what the NCAA is doing here. They're tweaking the overtime rule, and they're screwing shit up. I swear, NASCAR and the heads of NASCAR and the heads of NCAA must vacation together or something and trade stupid-ass ideas. Western Kentucky, 53, Marshall, 21. Bailey Zape for Western Kentucky, man. I'm still high on this guy. 25 for 48, 328 yards, 4 touchdowns. David Davis, 3 catches, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. Davian Williams, 45-yard pick 6 for Western Kentucky. And their kicker, Brandon Orlson, had 17 points. He had a big day. Marshall's Luke Zabon, 16 for 25, 123 yards, touchdown, interception, sacked 3 times. Grant Wells threw a TD pass and ran for a touchdown for Marshall. Shaheed Ahim and Devin Miller Both had touchdown catches for Marshall. Hilltoppers, 485 total yards. Thundering Herd, 325. Western Kentucky ended up 8-4 on the year, and Marshall 7-5. And being that they're Western Kentucky and 8-4, it's probably why nobody looks at Billy Zape when it comes to Heisman. Unfortunate, but I think we know the truth. Vaught Tech 29, Virginia 24. I believe that's the battle for the Commonwealth. I think that's what they call it. It was a 4-point game at halftime. Braxton Burmeister for Vaught Tech, 6 for 14, 141 yards, touchdown, sacked 4 times. Tavion Robinson threw a TD pass and caught a TD pass. I wonder if he threw it to himself. Raheem Blackshear, 18 rushes, 169 yards and a touchdown. Brendan Armstrong for Virginia, 29 for 45, 405 yards, touchdown, interception, ran for 2 touchdowns. Billy Kemp had 102 receiving yards. Jelani Woods, 64 receiving yards and a touchdown. Brendan Armstrong, another good quarterback. I mean, he's got a lot of good quarterbacks in the nation this year. Vaught Tech, 464 total yards. Virginia, 474. Vaught Tech and Virginia both end up 6-6 on the season. Tennessee, 45. Vanderbilt, 21. Hendon Hooker for Tennessee, 10 for 18, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Wright, 15 carries, 112 yards and a touchdown. Cedric Tillman, 6 catches, 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. Theo Jackson had a 55-yard pick 6 for the Vols. Vandy's Mike Wright, 16 for 31, 198 yards, TD, interception, ran for a TD. Rocco Griffin, 30 carries, 104 yards and a TD. Will Shepard, 5 catches, 98 yards, and a touchdown of his own. Tennessee, 441 total yards. Vanderbilt, 321. Tennessee ends up 7-5. Vandy ends up 2-10. And I'm going to say it like I've been saying it for the last few weeks. I think Josh Heupel is Tennessee's man. I think he's just going to do nothing but improve. Get some good recruits in there, and Tennessee can go back to being a factor in the East like they used to be. This crazy game here. Minnesota 23, Wisconsin 13. Tanner Morgan from Minnesota, 11 for 16, 199 yards. Touchdown, interception. Wisconsin got to him and sacked him 3 times. Kai Thomas, 18 carries, 55 yards and a touchdown. Chris Autumn-Bell, 2 catches, 37 yards and a touchdown. Kicker Matthew Trickett, 11 points for Minnesota. Graham Mertz for Wisconsin, 21 for 38, 171 yards, no touchdowns. Scott Nelson had a 25-yard pick 6. Colin Larsh, kicker for Wisconsin, had 7 points. Badgers just couldn't get anything going. Gopher defense just kept shutting them down. And you think, a team that's playing to get into the Big Ten championship game would play with a little more oomph, but they didn't. Gophers, 274 total yards. Badgers, 233. Minnesota ends up 8-4 on the year, and then Wisconsin 8-4. Louisiana 21. Louisiana Monroe 16. Levi Lewis for Louisiana, 13 for 22, 163 yards, 0 touchdowns, but he did run for a touchdown. Imani Bailey, 13 rushes, 61 yards and a touchdown. Kyrene Lacey had a 37-yard TD catch for the Raging Cajuns. Monroe, Rhett Rodriguez, 11 for 24, 145 yards and a touchdown. Malik Johnson, 23 carries, 112 yards and a touchdown. Boogie Knight, 2 catches, 47 yards and a touchdown. Louisiana, 382 total yards. Law Monroe, 325 total yards. Louisiana, they ended up 11-1. That's probably why Florida went for their coach. Because, I know they're playing the Sun Belt. But still, 11-1 record. That's a lot better than what they were. Louisiana Monroe ended up 4-8. Arizona State, 38. Arizona, 15. Jaden Daniels for the Sun Devils, 10 for 14, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also ran for 86 yards and a touchdown. Ricky Pearsall, 5 catches, 52 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jack Jones had an 87-yard pick 6 for the Sun Devils. Will Plummer for the Arizona, 28 for 38, 345 yards and a touchdown. Not too bad. He did throw an interception, and he was sacked 4 times. Michael Wiley had a 5-yard touchdown catch. And kicker Tyler Lope was the hero of the day. 9 points for Arizona. Arizona State, 314 total yards. Arizona, 396. Arizona State ends up 8-4 on the year. Arizona 1-11. There are talk and little rumors about they want to get rid of Herm Edwards. I don't know why. I know the reasons why, but I just don't know who you're going to get. And he's done a fairly good job. I'll admit the first year he was there, I was like, why are they hiring this guy? But he's slowly improved. So whether or not they keep him or get rid of him remains to be seen. And it remains to be seen who they're going to get. Tulsa, 34. SMU, 31. Davis Brin for Tulsa, 18 for 33, 244 yards, touchdown, 2 interceptions, though. Anthony Watkins and Braylon Braxton had touchdown runs for Tulsa. Josh Johnson, 6 catches, 117 yards and a touchdown. Kicker Zach Long was responsible for 10 points for Tulsa. SMU's Tanner Mardosu, 26 for 46, 298 yards, touchdown, 2 interceptions. Tyler Levine, 51 rushes and a touchdown. Roderick Daniels had 3 catches, 96 yards and a touchdown. Tulsa, 374 total yards. SMU, 405. Tulsa ends up 6-6 on the year. SMU, 8-4. SMU, one of those teams that started off on fire, and then they kind of just slacked off and lost some games. West Virginia, 34. Kansas, 28. Jarrett Doge for West Virginia, 16 for 21, 170 yards, 3 touchdowns and an interception. Letty Brown, 19 carries, 156 yards and a touchdown. Winston Wright, 3 catches, 29 yards and 2 touchdowns. For Kansas, Jalen Daniels, 22 for 32, 249 yards, touchdown, 2 interceptions, ran for a touchdown. So not too bad of a day for him. Jared Casey, 4 catches, 67 yards and a touchdown. And Gavin Potter had a 28-yard pick 6 for the Jayhawks. West Virginia, 436 total yards. Kansas, 336 total yards. Mountaineers end up 6-6 on the year. Kansas, 2-10. Kansas, another one. Glad basketball's here. But, hey, you beat Texas, and you got you a conference win. Only ways up, man. Only ways up, Kansas. Man. LSU 27, Texas A&M 24. Max Johnson 22 for 38, 306 yards, 3 touchdowns. Aggies got to him and sacked him 6 times. Jere Jenkins 8 catches, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he caught the winning touchdown pass with 26 seconds left in the game. Kicker Cade York 9 points. Zach Calzada 20 for 35, 242 yards, 3 touchdowns, sacked 4 times. Jalen Preston, 3 catches, 57 yards, 2 touchdowns. Moose Muhammad III, 2 catches, 52 yards and a touchdown. LSU ended up 412 total yards. Texas A&M 296. But it got LSU to a bowl game, 6-6, and A&M 8-4. Who knows where they're going to go? Coach O said he's not going to coach the bowl game. They're going to leave it to one of the assistant coaches. He already said something like he was heading to Destin, Florida today, so he might be there already. I don't know, but he said he's not coaching. Middle Tennessee 27, Florida Atlantic 17. Malik Delia 12 for Middle Tennessee, 12 for 19, 131 yards, touchdown. He also ran for 43 yards and a touchdown. Zaylen Wood had a 6-yard TD catch for Middle Tennessee. And Jordan Ferguson, 71-yard touchdown off a fumble recovery. Good for him. Florida Atlantic, Nakase Perry, 32 for 49, 328 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Not too bad. Jaquan Burton, 48-yard TD catch. And John Mitchell had a TD catch for the Owls. Middle Tennessee, 363 total yards. Florida Atlantic, 413. Middle Tennessee ends up 6-6. And Florida Atlantic, 5-7. And Florida Atlantic needed this win to go to a bowl game, and they actually led this game 14-3 at the half. They just let Middle Tennessee back in it. This game, 7-point game at the half. Pittsburgh 31, Syracuse 14. Kenny Pickett was 28 for 38, 209 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Another great day for him. Jordan Addison, 11 catches, 81 yards, 2 touchdowns. Gavin Bartholomew and Rodney Hammond each have touchdown catches for Pitt. Garrett Schrader for Syracuse, 17 for 24, 217 yards, 2 touchdowns, sacked 5 times. Courtney Jackson, 8 catches, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns, not too bad. Syracuse only had 29 rushing yards. They tried to do it all through the air, or either that, I didn't see the game. Either that Pitt just stuffed their run game. But Panthers, 333 yards. Orangemen, 242 total yards. Pitt, 10-2. Good season for them. Syracuse just fell short of a bowl game at 5-7. Crazy ass game here. Oklahoma State 37, OU 33. This game was tied 24 at the half. This was a great game. Spencer Sanders for State, 19 for 30, 214 yards, touchdown, 2 interceptions, ran for 98 yards and a touchdown. Brandon Presley, 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown for Oklahoma State. And Tay Martin had 7 catches, 89 yards and a touchdown. For Oklahoma, Caleb Williams, 20 for 39, 252 yards, 3 touchdowns. Cowboys got to him 6 times and sacked him. Kennedy Brooks, 22 carries, 139 yards. Austin Stroger had 3 catches, 61 yards and a touchdown. This game's special teams played a big part in it. They helped score points, and they also helped with a bunch of miscues. There's some muff punts, all kinds of crazy stuff. Special teams had a very big part in this game. Oklahoma State, 354 total yards. OU, 441 total yards. Oklahoma State ends up 11-1 off to the Big 12 championship game against Baylor. And Oklahoma ends up 10-2. Who knows where they'll go with a record like that? I'm sure they'll go to a pretty good bowl. Maybe the Orange or something like that if it's not a playoff game. All right, I was wrong about this game too. Clemson 30, South Carolina 0. I wasn't sure if South Carolina could win, but I figured they would give Clemson a fight after seeing what they've done the last few weeks. But I was wrong about that. And it happened at their own house too. You figured that home game, loud sandstorm going on, that it would rattle Clemson, but I don't know. I still like Shane Beamer though. I still think he'll do good there. DJ was 9 for 19, 99 yards, 0 touchdown. He threw an interception. Will Shipley had 19 rushes, 128 yards and a touchdown. Kobe Pace and Phil Muffa had rushing touchdowns for Clemson. For South Carolina, Zeb Nolan, 96 yards passing. Zaquande Wright had 22 rushing yards, and Jack Van had 38 receiving yards. And I saw a lot of complaining online about Clemson having Shipley and another back, I don't know if it's Pace or what, in the backfield at the same time. A lot of people were complaining about that. Why, I don't know. I mean, they won. But Clemson, 304 total yards. South Carolina, 206. Clemson, 9-3 on the year. Hey, South Carolina, though, you're going to a bowl game your first year with Shane Beamer, so that's something good there. You're in a lot better place than what you've been in. Battle for Kentucky. Kentucky 52, Louisville 21. This has always been a pretty good rivalry. Will Levis for Kentucky, 14-18, 149 yards, 0 touchdowns, but he ran for 113 yards and 4 touchdowns. So what he couldn't do through the air, he just did it on the ground. I think that's pretty damn good. Chris Rodriguez, 16 carries, 121 yards and a touchdown. Wendell Robinson, 9 catches for 97 yards. Louisville's Malik Cunningham, 12 for 20, 145 yards, 0 touchdowns. He had 35 rushing yards and a touchdown, though. Maurice Berkeley ran for a touchdown. Josh Johnson had a TD catch from Evan Conley. Kentucky, 511 total yards. Louisville, 352. Kentucky ends up at 9-3 on the year. Louisville, 6-6. Memphis, 33. Tulane, 28. Seth Hennigan was for Memphis, 27-42. 336 yards, 3 touchdowns, pretty good. 0 interceptions, but he was sacked 3 times. Eddie Levis, Gabriel Rogers, Rodriguez Clark each had touchdown catches for Memphis. And their kicker, David Kemp, had 9 points on the night. Tulane's Michael Pratt, 15 for 34, 147 yards, touchdown, 2 interceptions, sacked 3 times, but he also ran for a touchdown. Ty G. Spears, 30 carries, 264 yards, 2 touchdowns. Deuce Watts had 2 catches for 43 yards and a touchdown. Memphis, 392 total yards. Tulane, 452 total yards. Memphis, 6-6 on the year. Tulane, 2-10 on the year. All right, Notre Dame, 45. Stanford, 14. Still don't understand what happened to Stanford. Man, they've really fallen off lately. Jack Cohn for Notre Dame, 26 for 35, 345 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, ran for a touchdown. Kyrene Williams, 19 carries, 74 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Kevin Austin Jr. and Michael Mayer both had over 100 receiving yards for Notre Dame. Stanford's Tanner McKee, 20 for 25, 172 yards and a touchdown. Austin Jones, 9 rushes, 35 yards and a touchdown. Benjamin Jurisic, I think that's it. 5 catches, 87 yards and a touchdown. Notre Dame, 510 total yards. Stanford, 227. Notre Dame ends up 11-1 on the year. Stanford, 3-9. Interesting to see with David Shaw. Do they hang on to him for one more year and put him on the hot seat next year? Do they get rid of him here in the next few days? I personally would keep him for at least another year or two, get some recruits in and see what happens. The guy's a good coach, and he's proven it there at Stanford. So, Nevada 52, Colorado State 10. Rams didn't score their points until the third quarter. Carson Strong for Nevada is 17 for 22, 288 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. But the Rams got to him and sacked him 3 times. Avon Morrow, 5 rushes, 88 yards, a touchdown. Tony Horton and Romero Dobbs each had 2 touchdown catches apiece for Nevada. Todd Centerio for Colorado State, 15 for 24, 185 yards, 0 touchdowns, threw 2 picks and was sacked 6 times. Trey McBride had a 69-yard TD run, also had 113 receiving yards. Caden Camper had a 33-yard field goal for Colorado State. Nevada, 528 total yards. Colorado State, 442. Nevada ends up 8-4 on the year. Colorado State, 3-9. And when Colorado State lost to South Dakota State Jackrabbits at home in September, you kind of saw which way their season was going, and it went that way. BYU, 35. USC, 31. Jaron Hall for BYU, 20 for 32, 276 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Tyler Algier, 21 carries, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. Good day for him. Keanu Hill, 4 catches, 72 yards, and a touchdown. Jackson Dart for USC, 23 for 35, 248 yards, touchdown, ran for a touchdown. Fave Malape? Probably butchering his name. Sorry, buddy. 20 rushes, 99 yards, and a touchdown. And Gary Bryant, 5 catches, 56 yards, and a touchdown. Their kicker, Parker Lewis, had 11 points. BYU, 465 total yards. USC, 458. BYU's up 10-3 on the year. USC, 4-7. They still got to play Cal probably next Thursday or Saturday to finish up the season. Seems like every Pac-12 team BYU played, they beat. I have to go back and look. They may have lost to one, but it seems like they mowed through the Pac-12, their Pac-12 part of the schedule. UCLA 42, Cal 14. Dorian Thompson-Robinson for UCLA, 19 for 28, 164 yards, 3 touchdowns, ran for 102 yards also. Zach Charbonnet, 22 rushes, 106 yards, touchdown. Kyle Phillips had 2 TD catches for UCLA. For Cal, Chase Garber, 16 for 31, 125 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, sacked 4 times, but he did run for a touchdown. Christopher Brooks, 12 carries, 61 yards and a touchdown. UCLA, 446 total yards. Cal, 217. UCLA, 8-4 on the year. Cal, 4-7. Like I mentioned above, they'll play USC their last game Tuesday or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, somewhere in there. Remember back in the season, a lot of people in the media anointed UCLA the one of the top teams of the country. and they've lost 4 games, and now nobody's talking about them anymore. So away it goes. Okay, hey, FCS playoffs. They got some good ones. They have some good ones this week. Eastern Washington beat Northern Iowa 19-9. Eastern Washington plays at Montana this Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Plus. UT Martin beat Missouri State by 1. UT Martin wins 32-31. They play at Montana State Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern, ESPN Plus. So State of Montana's got playoff games at both their schools. Holy Cross 13, Sacred Heart 10. Holy Cross plays at Villanova Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Plus. Southern Illinois 22, South Dakota Coyotes 10. Southern Illinois plays at North Dakota State Bison. Ooh. Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, ESPN Plus. And any of you that don't keep up with FCS football, North Dakota State is the Alabama FCS. All right. Hey, South Dakota's rivals, though. South Dakota State Jackrabbits beat UC Davis 56-24. South Dakota State goes to Sacramento State Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Plus. South Dakota State went to the championship game last year and lost to Sam Houston, so they're a very good team. And that 10 p.m. Eastern, hey, we're not going to have any regular football late night like we have been this season, so bust out your tablet or computer and watch some late football on that. Drink beer till 3 o'clock in the morning watching the FCS playoff. Southeastern Louisiana defeated Florida A&M 38-14. Southeastern Louisiana has to go to James Madison. They play Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern, ESPN Plus. James Madison's a very good school. This is going to be an interesting game, and it's going to be right up the road for me. I may go check it out. Incarnate Word beat Stephen F. Austin 35-28. Incarnate Word's having a great season. They're out of San Antonio. They're going up the road here to Huntsville, Texas to play Sam Houston, reigning FCS champion. 3 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Plus. Like I said, I'm just about an hour away from Huntsville. I might go up there and check that one out. And the last one, Kennesaw State 48, Davidson 21. Kennesaw State plays at Eastern Tennessee Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern, ESPN Plus. And as you can see, FCS, they do it right. They start off with 24 teams and get down to 2 to play for the championship, unlike the measly 4 teams that the CFP big-time college football goes with. I'm not saying get 24 teams. That's probably a little much, especially when you go back and start looking through records of teams in the top 25 right now. But, God, at least 12 or 16. Come on, man. This is pretty sad that the lower level's showing you up every year with the way they do it. All right, basketball. We had a few upsets last Tuesday. Wisconsin beat number 17 Houston 65-63. Number 1 Gonzaga beat number 2 UCLA 83-63. Last Wednesday, number 22 UConn beat number 19 Auburn 115-109. Iowa State beat number 25 Xavier 70. Thanksgiving, Michigan State beat number 22 UConn 64-60. Last Friday, Dayton beat number 4 Kansas by 1, beat them 74-73. Friday, Iowa State beat number 9 Memphis 78-59. That's the second top 25 team Iowa State beat in a few days. Iowa State might be a team to watch this year. Let's see how they do. Number 5 Duke beat number 1 Gonzaga 84-81. And then Saturday, Northern Iowa beat number 16 St. Bonaventure 90-80. And that is it. Today is Sunday. There's some games going on today. I haven't checked them yet. Anyway, we'll be back later this week for our preview of championship weekend. Everything that goes on Saturday. Anything basketball. Any news, I'm quite sure there's probably going to be some more coaches or OCs fired. And there might even be some coaches hired. So we'll see what happens. That will be coming at you Tuesday. Man, I know it sucks. This great long weekend is over. The last full Saturday of college football is over. Kind of a bummer. So we got 2 bummers going into Monday. But keep your head down. Work hard, man. The day will go by fast. The weekend will be here before you know it. Anyway, we'll see you Thursday for the preview. Man, be safe. Have a good week, and we will see you later.